morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's a very special morning for me because, both my books came out in the pandemic. So my mom actually has seen me give a lot of talks and host a lot of people online, but today she's here and I'm really delighted for it. Thank you, Anurag, for hosting me and to the wonderful Business World team for this. So, it's a special day, Mum, because, I learned writing from you. My mum is a Sahitya Academy Award winner, but she doesn't talk much about herself. So my curiosity to write stemmed from basically seeing her write every morning for a few hours about poetry, about things that fascinated her, and a lot of my worldview is shaped by the conversations we've had. But the question came, can you make a career in writing today? I think that in India, people first study engineering and then they figure out what they want to do with their life. I did just the same. I started my career reading mechanical engineering, enjoyed it, then I studied liberal arts, then I went for my MBA, and then decided to do a PhD in philosophy. It's fairly roundabout, right? Let me give you a glimpse about my work experience. I started in the nonprofit space at a place called Teach for India. Then after my MBA, went and worked at Microsoft for 7 years. But along the way at Microsoft, I started focusing on a passion project of mine. My thesis was that career confusion is an epidemic. Young professionals, and actually even older ones, have this immense pressure to fit a box, to be a suitable boy or a suitable girl, and follow, in a way, a scripture of life. But I started noticing that the internet is changing the economics and sociology of how people work, how people find their meaning, and what does that mean on a day-to-day life. So that little passion project called Network Capital was designed to be a platform where people will come to learn from each other. I started by creating like a very interesting short degree called I Don't Know What I Want to Do with My Life. I really wanted to democratize that career confusion is actually okay. Figuring out and discovering your passion is a journey that you undertake through micro experiments. So Network Capital became this safe space where millennials from around the world came, connected with each other, hopefully discovered their passion, and found a career that they were truly passionate about. Surprisingly, I thought that, it'll be something that I'll work on in addition to my day job over nights and weekends, but slowly the movement became my life. So in the middle of the pandemic, I decided to quit my full-time job at Microsoft and focus full-time on building Network Capital day after day. The initial momentum was interesting, but what I discovered was that the initial community members who came and became part of the platform, they didn't sort of like it. They actually loved being part of that experience. So with the support of what I like to call 1,000 true fans, I tried to discover, is there a way in which people can broadly make their passion into a viable profession? And by virtue of 1,000 true fans, who eventually became my paying subscribers and so forth, I was empowered to actually follow my passion and carve a career out of it. I thought of myself, Microsoft pays pretty well, but is there a way in which my passion project could actually, match what I made at Microsoft? The answer was yes, because of the 1,000 true fans. 1 year after quitting Microsoft, Facebook decided to fund our company through their Community Accelerator program. So, we were on a different growth trajectory. And 1 year after that, the blockchain unicorn Fire acquired a stake in Network Capital, and I now serve a dual role as the chief executive of the company that I started and the chief marketing officer of Fire. The reason I'm telling you, if you look at my life, in a way, I check a lot of boxes. I've studied at nice places, worked at nice places. But the other way of looking at it is that I have also conducted a wide range of experiments. When we think of passion, my book is called Passion, Economy, and the Side Hustle Revolution. We think about it as something that dawns upon us one fine day. And images of Isaac Newton sitting under a tree where the apple falls on his head and he discovers gravity. How many of you have heard this story? Apple story? Unfortunately, the apple never fell on Newton's head. It's entirely fictional. We like stories and we like the idea of people discovering their passion in surprising and insightful ways. But passion isn't discovered by an apple or, through meditation. Some of that maybe. But passion results from experimentation. And in the book, I argue that this new movement of internet creating careers of new kinds, where millennials and Gen Zs like Anurag's daughter are looking at careers as an experimentation, first to discover passion or curiosity, and then looking at how that curiosity can be woven into something that is economically viable, which I explained through my 1,000 True Fans model. And then that same passion can be woven into something really different, which doesn't fit the box, but offers three distinct things when it comes to meaningful work. And these three things are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Anytime a job provides these things, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, typically it creates meaningful living. 20 years back, or even 10 years back, life was supposed to be in stages. You complete stage 1, you study, you earn, you retire. But today, everything has changed. So let me basically explain my key points through the book with 3 examples. The first I like to call the unbundling of work from employment. So I argue that people in the years to come, like Anurag's daughter, like myself, like many of you in the room, will not have a job only. They will have a portfolio of professions, a portfolio of careers, a writer, a DJ, an academic, an investor, all bundled into a combination of jobs. And I see that in my life as well. As of today, I'm the CEO of Network Capital, CMO of FIRE. I write, I teach, I invest. I do a wide range of professions. This is going to become mainstream. So the idea of one person having one job for the rest of his or her life is gone. The portfolio of careers is here to stay. And this underlying trend is the unbundling of work from employment. Second, which I discovered and have seen multiple times, today we live in an era where millions and billions makes eyeballs count. But I'm a believer of building communities with a heart and soul, because 1,000 true fans are infinitely more valuable than 1,000,000 people who sort of like you, who sort of support you. And I've seen that, of course, in my journey. But when I look at communities all around the world, the communities that actually thrive, the communities that have made an impact and survived the test of time, they are built on strong connections between people. Whether you look at some spiritual communities, hopefully some of you will get to listen to them, or you look at communities which have thrived in the business world, the strength of those bonds is not nurtured by scale, but by the intimacy of 1,000 people coming together at once. In fact, I go to one level deeper and say 1,000 true fans is really important, but 100 super fans is what you really need to accelerate your passion project into, a proper enterprise-ready company. Network Capital, the company that I started, has gone through all of these stages. Passion project, funded by Facebook, stake acquired by a unicorn, still going in a different way. And all of these ideas don't just dawn upon me. My 100 super fans and 1,000, true fans that we've nurtured through experimentation and support basically come to us with the ideas. And they are the ones who implement many of these initiatives. During the pandemic, we started something called teachwhatyouLove.org. I'm very literal when it comes to names. And they discovered every single person on the planet has something to learn and something to teach. If you create a platform and help these teachers find their students in whatever field they're interested in, you can help people create a new income stream, perhaps something that they're innately curious about. And the last thing is something that I want to tell you, that you should all do one thing today once you go back home. You should fire yourself. Because if you don't, somebody else will. 90% of jobs of 2030 don't exist today. So the ability to reinvent yourself over and over again is perhaps the most important superpower. Now, you can't really reinvent yourself alone. You need the strength of mentors, community members. You need to read. You need to discover your strengths and passions. Because the funny thing about the passion economy and passion in general is that passions change. People change, and they change faster than one would have thought. I told you a little bit about my work and academics, etc., etc. But at one point in time, I very seriously considered becoming an actor. I'm still on Amazon Prime on some show that perhaps nobody has watched, or some plays that I did while in Bombay and London, etc. But I still love acting, but I no longer harbor the dream of creating it as my career. Not because it's economically viable or not, it's just because my passion changed. Along the way, I discovered business, writing, traveling, etc. And my life took a different journey. A few years before that, like every Indian boy, I wanted to become a cricketer. I still love cricket, but I don't no longer aspire to build a career in it. So we underestimate how much change we go through as people. And we underestimate how much the world changes. The last 2-3 years are a great example of how wrong we are about the predictions we make about the world and ourselves. So my core message to yourself is, go fire yourself. Look at what's the next adventure that you're going to embark upon. And when you embark upon that adventure, don't feel the pressure to follow a script, because nobody knows what's going on. You discover the pursuit of excellence. You discover what new kinds of careers looks like. And in the book, I document many such case studies, like this Cambridge doctor who became a YouTuber, or this blockchain-based video game that is creating the source of employment in Vietnam, where people essentially get their monthly salaries by playing video games. Or a 19-year-old girl called Charlie D'Amelio, who's built like a media empire, largely by being the girl next door and dancing to, simple tunes. Or this creator of the song called Baby Shark, which is evidently the most YouTubed song ever. These are not fringe examples. This is how the world of work is changing, one example at a time, one story at a time. But underlying principle of that is the passion economy and the side hustle revolution. I really hope you give all yourselves the chance to pursue a side hustle. And one day, if you experiment enough, that side hustle could be a viable profession, one that gives you autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Thank you very much.